Good afternoon. I want to thank you for inviting the Connecticut Department of Transportation to the 2023 New England Railroad Symposium. We are very glad to continue working with the Transportation Infrastructure Durability Center. As mentioned before, my name is Yure Kuljis. I am an Assistant Rail Administrator in the Office of Rail of the Connecticut Department of Transportation. In today's presentation, I am going to focus on the Connecticut rail system, the initiative of our Governor, Ned Lamont, talk about our rail infrastructure and the emerging challenges, the strategic plan to improve rail service throughout the state of Connecticut, and then I will talk about the Northeast Corridor and the funding opportunity. In 2021, our previous Deputy Commissioner, Mark Rolfe, was the keynote speaker, so this is a good follow-up presentation. So let me start with this infographic in case you are not familiar with the state of Connecticut. It shows the many different aspects of Connecticut's vast transportation network. In 2019, that's pre-COVID, the state of Connecticut had a population of 3.5 million. The total transit ridership was 38 million. Approximately 2.8 million people had registered vehicles. And rail ridership numbers in the New Haven line, which is the busiest commuter rail corridor in the country, exceeded 41 million. Connecticut was ranked 4th in the U.S. population density, and other facts included 60 miles of Class 1 railroad track, over 235 passenger rail miles, and 628 route miles of freight. I'll explain some of the COVID-19 impacts that changed the demands on our transportation system. On the right side is a map that illustrates the statewide rail passenger system. The different colors represent the different rail corridors within the state. The yellow corridor in southwestern Connecticut is the New Haven line, which includes the Waterbury, Danbury, and New Canaan branch lines. The 49.4 route miles between New Haven and the state line in Greenwich are owned by the state and operated and maintained by Metro North. The red corridor going south-north in the middle of state between New Haven, Connecticut, and Springfield, Massachusetts is the Hartford line. This high-speed intercity passenger rail service was launched beginning in June 2018. The current travel speeds are up to 110 miles per hour. It is a blend of two services operated by Amtrak and Transit America service, also known as TIDC. Next is the Magenta Corridor extending west-east from New Haven to New London. This is the Shoreline East commuter rail service. Amtrak provides the service using Connecticut DOT-owned rail equipment over this Amtrak-owned Northeast Corridor. And finally, the blue corridors are the Amtrak Intercity Rail Service. So you can see 4 different operators in a relatively compact area across the state. This slide shows different graphs for the ridership of the different corridors. It's a little bit hard to see, but it's clear that COVID has impacted the ridership in Connecticut. The New Haven line ridership, which is shown in the upper left side, is currently about 64.9% of pre-COVID ridership monthly. The ridership last month was over 2.2 million. The Hartford line ridership, which is shown in the upper middle, is currently about 86% of pre-COVID ridership on a monthly basis. The ridership last month was over 55,000. And finally, the Shoreline East, which is shown in the upper right side, is currently about 31.5% of pre-COVID ridership monthly. The ridership last month was a little over 16,000. Let me now talk about Time for CT. As stated before, Time for CT is our Governor Lamont's initiative and commitment to expedite train service around the state. His direction is to get train service back on the fast track. The fastest trains in 2021 were 20 minutes slower than trains operated almost 70 years ago. At Governor Lamont's direction, Connecticut DOT completed the first ever comprehensive analysis of the New Haven line to determine what can be done now to speed up service. The plan needed to be achievable in the near term and affordable. The result is a 12-year investment program of $8 to $10 billion to rebuild the railroad for faster service, reducing trip times by as much as 25 minutes for the Metro North service. This plan is now part of the Northeast Corridor Commission's Connect NEC 2035 plan. It describes improved rail service between Boston and Washington, D.C. Connecticut DOT and our real partners at Metro North and Amtrak are currently preparing for the available federal funding for the Northeast Corridor and other rail programs. We have already initiated engineering on several segments of rail improvements. We are happy to know that we are in a good position to compete for the new federal dollars. There is both program money and grant money that is available for our rail program for the Northeast Corridor in general. In order for us to achieve faster trains and reduce travel times, our plan has three core areas of focus. That is service enhancements, rail fleet maintenance and storage, and railroad infrastructure. It is important to point out that all three areas must be improved if we are to be successful in achieving the reduced travel time goals we have set. As you can see, and I underlined railroad infrastructure, this is a key area of focus. I will talk about each of these areas in the upcoming slides. It was also important for us to establish short-term and long-term strategic goals. We wanted to achieve trip time reductions, but it was important to work with the affected towns and communities. From the previous maps shown, the New Haven line travels through some of the most densely populated areas of the nation. We needed to minimize disruption and create a plan that would let us do most of the work in our right-of-way and using our current rail alignment. A key goal was to establish a plan that could be implemented incrementally and in various phases. In order for us to deliver these benefits in the upcoming years, we had to stay within the existing right-of-way. This is also helping us with the environmental impacts and community support. A phased implementation also helps us financially deliver these projects and improvements in the three areas of focus. So let's start with service enhancements and some of the impacts to rail travel times. As part of the speed and capacity analysis, we reviewed every train trip in the New Haven line schedule. In 2022, we launched the new Super Express train service for commuters. Train service to Grand Central Terminal operates 10 minutes faster from New Haven. The average travel time is 2 hours and 5 minutes, and the average travel time for the express trains is 1 hour and 49 minutes. The new pilot Super Express train, offering limited stop service at New Haven, Bridgeport, and Stamford, and then on to New York City, have an average travel time of 1 hour and 39 minutes. One Super Express train is operated in the morning and one in the evening. Over the next 10 plus years, additional savings will be achieved through infrastructure and fleet improvements. Up to an additional 15 minutes of travel time savings will be possible if we make the right infrastructure improvements. The department's goal is to make service enhancements on all Connecticut rail lines to provide faster, more direct, and more frequent service. Another big accomplishment last year was for the Shoreline East. The service changed from operating older diesel engines to electric M8 rail cars, improving reliability. The rail fleet is another core area of focus in the Time for CT plan. The current locomotive hauled rail fleet is limited to 79 miles per hour. Some of the rail cars and locomotives are over 40 years old. The department is making a big commitment to upgrade our rail fleet for faster service and to improve the onboard customer experience. Our goal is to upgrade our fleet to achieve maximum operating speeds of up to 125 miles per hour. This will allow incremental improvement in service as the railroad infrastructure is upgraded throughout the state. We are currently seeking proposals to replace the rail cars and grow the fleet for new services. These purchases will enable direct service from all locations of Connecticut to New York City. Our rail fleet service plan includes completion of the ongoing contract for 66 new M8 rail coaches and purchase of additional 60 cars for the Hartford Line and Shoreline East services. We have an option for 72 other cars that will enable the express service enhancements. We're also looking to buy 18 or more dual power locomotives to provide direct service from the non-electrified lines into New York City. One of these dual mode locomotives is shown in the picture. These locomotives can operate on diesel or overhead catenary. Another strategic plan is to develop a program for our rail yard improvements. We are currently looking at all our rail yards in Connecticut and making sure that they have the capacity we need. We're also modernizing our rail yards to support the new and expanded rail fleet. This is one of the most important slides as we talk about infrastructure and the challenges. As previously mentioned, the speed and capacity study included an exhaustive review of every mile of railroad to look for opportunities to improve their infrastructure and to enhance speed along the line. Some of the opportunities include a complete signal modernization that will allow operating train speeds to be increased to up to 90 miles per hour, the removal of the temporary rail speed restrictions that were imposed before positive train control. As we talk about challenges, we are looking to replace many of the open deck structures carrying the New Haven line over local roads. To achieve higher speeds, we will replace those open deck bridges with ballasted deck bridges. We are looking at track speed improvements to enhance speed through curbs, and then there is many slow orders along the New Haven line due to drainage issues or mud spots. And then our major challenge is replacing our 4 movable bridges along the Northeast Corridor New Haven line. These 4 historic bridge structures are between 100 and 150 years old. One of the major programs that is going to improve our rail infrastructure is the Track Improvement and Mobility Enhancement Program, also known as TIME. We don't want to confuse the Time for CT and the TIME Infrastructure Program. One of our first projects that is segment of the Time for CT larger program is the Time 1 project. This program will increase speeds to 90 miles per hour, provide operational enhancements, replace and upgrade the catenary system, upgrade the railroad track to Class 6, increase track centers, replace the open deck bridges, improve drainage, straighten track curbs, install new train signals, and perform other infrastructure improvements. Construction is scheduled to begin in 2025. The Time for CT Infrastructure Investment Program includes several state of good repair backlog projects. The condition of our infrastructure has resulted in reduced train speeds and limited the capacity to operate express service. We have planned and started to replace our 4 historic movable bridges. The Norwalk River or WAC Bridge is scheduled to be replaced starting this year. This is a $1 billion investment that will address a major infrastructure reliability concern, since this is our only movable swing bridge on the New Haven line. We are also in the process of planning and designing the replacement of the Housatonic River or Devon Bridge, the Saugatuck River or Saga Bridge, and the Meanos River or Costco movable bridges. These major backlog projects represent a significant investment that is necessary to increase speeds and improve overall performance. As mentioned before, other major infrastructure improvements include our track speed improvements program and rail yard improvements program. We're also partnering with Amtrak to replace the Connecticut River Bridge to improve performance. Capacity and speed together contribute to the trip time and reliability enhancements that will be delivered with the Time for CT program. These are some of the infrastructure improvements that are necessary to achieve the full Time for CT service enhancements, including the 25-minute savings by 2035. This slide shows that in late 2022, the Federal Railroad Administration, also known as FRA, published what is called the 2022 NEC Inventory List. The purpose of this inventory is to create a predictable pipeline that will assist Amtrak, the Northeast Corridor states, and the public with long-term capital planning for the Northeast Corridor. This inventory covers the period 2022 through 2024, including projects that are anticipated to be ready for some activity before 2025. In developing the inventory list, the Federal Railroad Administration relied on data provided by the Northeast Corridor Commission through the C-35 as well as other planning documents. As you can see from this slide, FRA divided projects into 2 buckets based on the project type. Bucket 1 are the major backlog projects that include the first funding priority. Our 4 movable bridges are included in the list. And bucket 2 are the capital renewal, improvement, and stations projects that include the second funding priority. 13 Connecticut projects are included in the list, bringing a total of 17 Rail Connecticut projects. We are currently in the process of developing grant applications for these funding opportunities. This is our final slide concluding that Connecticut faces many infrastructure challenges. We are about to undertake a historic investment program to modernize our infrastructure. Time for City is a feasible and affordable plan. It will be achieved through major infrastructure improvements, service enhancements, and investments in our fleet. These investments will achieve historic travel times between New Haven and New York City and will undoubtedly pay for themselves by improving the quality of life for residents, improving productivity, raising property values, and leveraging rail service. You can see on the slide here what the goal is. Last year, we have achieved a 10-minute savings, and by 2032, we will achieve a 25-minute travel time savings. We understand our challenge ahead, and my focus is to assist our rail administrator and the Connecticut DOT to develop our capital rail program to improve our infrastructure and to make our governor's Time for City vision a reality. And with that, I want to thank you again for inviting myself and the Connecticut DOT. At this point, I can turn it back to you for any questions that you may have.